Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. It's funny, I realize I don't look into the camera because of the mic. I'm trying to get accustomed to the microphone being here. Um, so I have time for one. My mom's not here yet, so let's do another 420. Let's talk about the Traveler on Star Trek. I watched the episode last night that had the Traveler made his first appearance. Now, we don't know much about the Traveler. What we know is he showed up on the ship, and this is Next Generation, 24th century Enterprise. Next Generation. Jean-Luc Picard is the captain of the Enterprise and is the representative of humanity going out into space and in the cosmos. A being steps on his ship, along with a very guy who's full of himself. And they say we have a new way of revolutionizing warp drive. We can go beyond what typical warp drives go. We can do bad and awesome shit to this engine. Now, everybody else is skeptical, but whatever. Starfleet told them to do it, so they decided to do it. And they end up ultimately in this space that's light years and light years from where a ship could be. In fact, it would take them like 300 years to get back home. This is a mistake. This was not supposed to happen. This is not the upgrade to the warp drive that they envisioned. The guy who's full of himself, the human, comes out and says, "Look at this awesome mistake." Now, everybody else on the ship is like, how the fuck can you get us home? And can you make this mistake again to get us home? Otherwise, it's 300 years until we get back home. He's full of himself. He believes it. Now, Deanna Troi is an empath, and she's reading his beingness. And she's saying, yes, this guy's full of himself. He firmly believes it. Here's the problem. That guy believing it and being full of himself in no way makes what he believes be true. He is not a definitive factor of reality. He is just a belief system. And ultimately, what you find out is the person who he's with, this mysterious traveler, is the person who's doing it. In some odd and peculiar way, he's adding thought to the process, allowing the ship to do amazing things. And trying to get back home, this traveler takes them to this place that is beyond space and time. And is essentially at this place where thought intersects space. The ship is horrified. Things are beautiful. Things are terrifying. At one place, you have a fire that a guy is creating for himself. At another place, you have Worf creating his dog when he was a kid. It's not a dog. It's like a warthog with spikes. Picard seeing his mother, trying to offer him tea. One thing after the next. These thoughts, they're terrifying. They're terrifying. But they're their own thoughts. This dimension is benign. Their thoughts are scary things. This traveler explains, I fucked up. I fucked up. And not only did I fuck up, I am phasing out of this reality. Which is a problem for the Enterprise, because the Enterprise has no clue how to get back. But the traveler gets them back. Now, the conversation I want to have is about the traveler. That's the guy I want to talk about. Because that's the guy that's, I would argue, is probably one of the most fascinating aspects of Star Trek. And one of the aspects of our lives that we ourselves can, to some degree, peer into. When I was doing, when I would have lucid dream states, and I got to the point of saying, man, I need to be able to control this. I want to be able to control this. What is the mechanism to control this? And I came across OBEs, out-of-body experiences. Now, you know my rule. If somebody says something exists, I want to test it. I don't care how terrifying. I want to test it. And I put it to the test. And I'm bad at it, but it works. Now, what I mean when I say I'm bad at it, but it works, I've ended up in areas before where I'm like, I don't know where I am. Again, you heard me in the last video, I don't know what this is. I don't know where I am. I make the same case when I'm somewhere else. I have no idea where I am. I have no idea what this is in relation to anything else. So whether there is anything else in relation to this in the first place. I have no idea where I am. Yes, geographically I know I am. But when I'm talking about what is this edifice to which we're inextricably bound? What is this? What is this? Are there more of this? Is this the only one? Are there other planets? Are there other things beyond planets? What the fuck is this? These questions are considered ridiculous because these questions are difficult to answer. These are the questions I have. So you see this guy, the traveler, You have the capacity for OBEs, for out-of-body experiences. You've been in other places where you're like, whoa, this place is fucking amazing. And you pop back into your body. Now, the traveler explains that he has this ability to focus thought and all this other stuff. And when they try to explain it to Picard, they couldn't explain it to Picard. They couldn't explain it. He just said, yes, I'm from somewhere else. If you had the capacity for out-of-body experience, OBEs, astral travel, whatever you want to call it, and you're out of body, and you're on a different plane. Let's say Bob Monroe, or what's the scientist? Tom Campbell. You're in a different place. You're talking to different people. You're interacting in different ways with a completely different environment space. And you come back home, and you go about your day. That sounds a hell of a lot like the traveler to me. In fact, it matches all of his examples, or all of his experiences. He's in a place. He materializes in that place. He comes across as solid in that place. When I've been at other places, I've been solid. I've interacted. I could talk. I could walk. I could do all those things. I have freedom of movement in the same way I have freedom of movement in this decision space. He's there for a while. He starts to phase out. In those states, when I start to phase out, I die. In those states, I lose hearing, sound, all these things. I go away, and I'm back in my body. Is it possible that the traveler has a body somewhere, and that the body that he's using in that decision space, when he's saying your reality frame, he's continuously saying your reality, your reality, your reality frame. His reality frame may be different. He may be somewhere completely different, and he wakes up. Now, if he learned the capacity to control whatever that mechanism is in his particular reality that allowed his consciousness to escape that particular body to which he was bound, and he could float between all of these spaces. I'm here for the moment. I'm there for the moment. I'm there for the moment. There are more reality spaces than your own. Yes, I have planets in my reality space just like you have in yours. Maybe I have something else. Maybe they're not planets. But there are places where other people exist. And yes, I'm in your particular place now, and I'm trying to feel you out. I'm trying to understand what it means to be a being in this particular reality frame. I'm a traveler. That's what I do. If you have conversations with people who do OBEs like hardcore, this is what they will recount to you. This is the exact experience they will recount to you. Particularly when they're talking to the point of saying, I'm somewhere else. I'm communicating with something. We're interacting. We may not have a body. Sometimes we do have a body. Sometimes the body is different. Now, from the person's standpoint, the body is the body. It's his body. There's an imprint of sorts on what you consider to be a body. The longer you're out of body, that goes away. But that imprint is there because we're human beings. I find the traveler one fascinating because that's the one it seems like we can touch the most, or at the very least, if you're diligent, you can touch the most. It's interesting. I love it. I'll leave it at that. Tim, what you think? I know some people was like, dude, the OBE thing is bullshit. You understand that the only reason you have any attachment to this reality frame is that it's continuity. One moment leading to the next. If you were in any other space for any particular time, you would think that time was your own, just like this one. Your bias is just because of, I have a memory of this last moment. Okay. If that memory, let's say for the moment, you ended up somewhere else, and you felt like you were at that place for a very long time, you would think that that's where you belonged. And the next, and the next. It doesn't matter. It's just by virtue of memory in that sense. I'm just making the point that one reality is no more real than the next. Any place that you are, and when you're experiencing things, you're experiencing things there. You're having a bias to this particular one. And fair enough. You can be hurt in this particular one. But guess what? You can be hurt in the other ones too. And you can also fall out of those particular realities and end up somewhere else. I'm just making a point that we don't know what this is. And because we don't necessarily know what this is, you kind of have to give it a little bit less, I guess, hard-nosed. I have an actual and a factual basis for X, and you can go that type of thing. Yeah, I don't have any time for that one. The honest truth is, our physics ultimately tries to figure out what this is. And that's not bad. It allows us, it's fascinating. None of it matters, but it is fascinating to figure out what space you're in and what other space you can get into, and are there other spaces in the first place, and can our physics get to the point where we can peer into those other spaces? Oh, these things are fascinating ideas. And science is your only tool to get you to that point. Arrogance is not a good part of that tool. That's all I'm saying. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe. You can always support the work through Patreon. I have one more Star Trek one coming up. I know some people hate the Star Trek stuff, but if you hate it, just pass on. Just pass on.